We will begin by discussing the different types of angles. The first one is an acute angle. And as we can see here, an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So an angle is said to be acute if its magnitude is greater than 0 degrees but less than 90 degrees. Okay, so this is an acute angle. It's greater than 0 degrees but less than 90 degrees. Then we move on to our right angle. What is a right angle? An angle of 90 degrees is called a right angle. Next, we move on to an obtuse angle. An angle is obtuse if its magnitude is greater than 90 degrees. It's greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. A straight angle. An angle of 180 degrees is called a straight angle. A reflex angle. An angle is reflex if its magnitude is greater than 180 degrees but less than 360 degrees. Finally, this is referred to as a full rotation, exact 360 degrees. Let's move on. Now that we have finished looking at the different types of angles, right, straight, acute, obtuse, reflex, we're going to move on to some others. We're going to look at complementary and supplementary angles. Our first is complementary angles. So two angles are said to be complementary if their sum is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, two angles are said to be complementary if their sum is equal to 90 degrees. For example, if I'm going to label these two angles. I'm going to label one A and B. Alright, so I'm labeling here A and I'm labeling here B. And let's say here is 75 degrees. What will be angle B? Angle B will be 15 degrees because this is a right angle. Okay, an angle of 90 degrees. So the sum of A and B must be 90 degrees, and we know that 75 plus 15 is going to give us 90. Okay, so this is complementary angles. Two angles are said to be complementary if their sum is equal to 90 degrees. Now on to supplementary angles. Two angles are said to be supplementary if their sum is equal to 180 degrees. So I'm going to label this one angle A and angle B. If I give you only angle A, if I say angle A is 31 degrees, what is angle B? Angle B will be 149 degrees. Now how did I get that? I know that is angles on a straight line. Okay, I know that angles on a straight line are supplementary. Their sum is equal to 180 degrees. So I simply 180 subtract what was given, 31 degrees, and that's going to give me 149 degrees. Yes? Good, that's what I did. I have to subtract 31 from 180 and I'm going to get 149. On to the next. We're going to talk about adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are two angles which have a common arm. Okay, they have a common vertex and they lie on opposite side of each other. of a common arm. Okay, so let's look at this vertex here. This vertex is right, so this is adjacent angles because the both of them have what? A common point, a common vertex. The both of these angles share a common arm. Okay, so this angle on this side and this angle on this side, they share a common arm and they are opposite to each other. They lie on opposite sides. Okay, so these are adjacent angles, and we say that the sum of adjacent angles on a straight line is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, I repeat, we say that the sum of the adjacent angles on a straight line is equal to 180 degrees. So again, like supplementary angles, if this side is 31, then this side will be 149 degrees. Why? Because they are adjacent angles. They share a common vertex. Okay, they share a common arm and they lie on opposite sides of each other. Now on to vertical angles. Vertically opposite angles. The theory is this: when two straight lines intersect at a point, vertically opposite angles are formed. Okay? And further, vertically opposite angles are always equal. Alright, so let's say this is 45 degrees and here is 135 degrees. The question is, what will be C? What will be D? Okay, if this is the case, what will be C and what will be D? This angle here is vertically opposite to D. So D is going to be 45 degrees. This angle here, 135, is vertically opposite to C. So C is going to be 135 degrees. Vertically opposite angles. Okay? Now we're going to look at corresponding angles. Now, when a transversal cuts two parallel lines, then the corresponding angles formed are always equal. Okay, the corresponding angles formed are always equal. Alright, now what is a transversal? This is a transversal. I have it labeled here. This line is called a transversal. Okay, so when a transversal cuts two parallel lines. What are parallel lines? Lines that run in the same direction. So these two lines are heading in this direction, they are parallel. These two lines are heading in this direction, they are parallel. These two lines are like this. One is heading up and one is heading down. This is not parallel. Okay, so this is parallel and this is parallel. So when a transversal cuts two parallel lines, so this could be my transversal cutting this parallel line, and this can be my transversal cutting two parallel lines. Corresponding angles are formed. So let's say I'm going to clean here so I can demonstrate further. So I'm going to label here B. Okay, I'm starting from here. I'm going to label here A, B, C, D. Okay, so here's labeled, and I'm going to label here E, F, G, H. Alright, and I'm going to demonstrate what are corresponding angles. Okay, angle B is the first angle on the first parallel line. This angle B will correspond to this angle F, because this angle F is also the first angle on the second parallel line. Now let's look at angle C. What is angle C corresponding with on this second parallel line? Angle C is corresponding with angle G. Okay, because angle C, as we can see, is the first angle on the top right. Okay, on the second parallel line, this is also the angle on the top right. Angle D is corresponding to what? Angle H. Why? Because angle D is the what? Is the bottom angle on the right, and angle H is also the bottom angle on the right. So as you can see, D is 130 degrees and H is also 130 degrees. They are corresponding. Let's say I have C to be 50 degrees. Alright, 50 degrees. I have C to be 50 degrees. Then what other angle will be 50? Angle G will also be 50 degrees, corresponding angles. If I have angle A to be 70 degrees, then angle E will also be 70 degrees, corresponding angles. Okay, I hope you can see clearly. Let's go on to this side. This angle here is corresponding to what angle here? So let's identify where is this angle on the top right, okay? Top left, right, okay? And this angle is where? Also on the top left. So they are corresponding and they are equal. If I had this angle here, and this angle is 110, okay? What other angle will be 110? Where is this angle? Where is this 110? On the bottom left. So on the bottom left here, this angle will also be 110. Corresponding angles, okay? Moving on. We're going to be looking at alternate angles. So when a transversal cuts two parallel lines, as we looked at before, alternate angles are also formed. So based on this, we have corresponding angles as we learned before, but also alternate angles are formed. Okay, so now we have to identify what angles are alternate. This angle is alternate to this angle. I'm going to use another color to demonstrate alternate angles. This angle is alternate to this angle. Okay, so if I label this A, B, C, D, okay, we can say that angle A and angle D are alternate. We can say that angle C and angle B and C are alternate. Okay, so let's say in our example here, we see that B is 130 degrees. Its alternate angle will also be 130 degrees. If angle A is 50 degrees, then what will angle D be? Angle D will also be 50 degrees because it's alternate. Okay, so we learned two things about a transversal. When a transversal cuts two parallel lines, I'm going to demonstrate again. When a transversal cuts two parallel lines, we notice that two things happen. We learned about two things so far. Okay, we learned that corresponding angles are formed. Alright, so this angle on the top left is going to be equal to this angle on the top left. We learned that this angle, I'm going to use another color for demonstration, this angle on the top right would be equal to this angle here on the top right. We learned that, using a different color, this angle here on the bottom left is equal to this angle here on the bottom left, corresponding, right? We also learned that this angle here on the bottom right is equal to this angle here on the bottom right. Those angles are corresponding. The second thing we learned is that alternate angles are equal. And now let's go and identify the alternate angles. Alright, this angle here, I'm highlighted in yellow, I really hope you're seeing that, and this angle here are alternate angles, so they would be equal as well. Now a different color. This angle here and this angle here are alternate, so they too would also be equal. So we learn two things. Okay, when a transversal cuts a parallel line, corresponding angles are formed and alternate angles are formed. Let's go on to see what else are formed. Interior angles. Let's go ahead and look at that. Interior angles. Now again, when a transversal cuts two parallel lines, we saw that corresponding angles were formed, alternate angles were formed, and now we are going to see that interior angles are formed. Alright, and these interior angles, two angles, are said to be supplementary if their sum is equal to 180. Okay, so the interior angles here, these two angles on the inside here, these two angles on the inside here are equal to 180 degrees. So if I was given this angle here was 130, what will be this angle here? This angle here would be 50 degrees. Why? Because I learned now that the interior angles here are supplementary. Their sum is equal to 180 degrees. So we learned three things that happen when a transversal cuts two parallel lines. Corresponding angles that are formed are equal, alternate angles that are formed are equal, and now we are learning that the interior angles formed are supplementary. Okay, they're not equal, but they are supplementary. That means that their sum is equal to 180 degrees. Good? So if I know that, so if I have to find this angle here, there are quite a few things I can do to get that answer. Number one, I can say that this angle here is equal to 50 degrees. And one of my justification for that is alternate angles, because I know that this angle here is alternate to this angle here. Also, to get 50 degrees, my justification could be interior angles, because I know that when a transversal cuts two parallel lines, the interior angles that are formed on the same side are supplementary. So I know that the sum of this angle here, of these two angles, must add up to 180 degrees. So all I can do is subtract 130 from 180, and I will get 50 degrees. So you see, I could have either used alternate angles or interior angles to get my answer. Alright, so when two angles are said to be supplementary if their sum is equal to 180. I'm revising again. Three things happen when this transversal cuts two parallel lines. Corresponding angles are formed. Alternate angles are formed. Interior angles on the same side of the transversal are supplementary. Their sum is equal to 180 degrees. Let's move on. Finally, we're going to be looking at angles at a point. The theory says that the sum of angles at a point is equal to 360 degrees. And this is very simple, because all the angles that are here, the sum of it must equal to 360 degrees. Alright, so let's say, let me get my writing. If let's say this angle is 120, what will be the other two angles? Okay, one could be 30 and the other one could be 30. No, this is wrong. Why? What does this sum give us? 120 plus 30 plus 30 will give us 180. But angles at a point, the sum is equal to 360 degrees. Okay, so let's do this all over again. So let's say this angle here is still 120. What would be, this angle is 120. All right. This angle here is 140. What would C be? One angle is 120, the other angle is 140. What would C be? C would have to be what? 260. Angles at a point, the sum is equal to 360 degrees. Alright? Here we have some examples that you can look at and you should be able to do based on the tutorials we had before. Okay, so this is what? A right angle. Okay, 90 degrees. This also is a right angle, 90 degrees. This also is a right angle, 90 degrees. This one is what? An acute angle. Why? Because its magnitude is greater than 0 degrees but less than 90. So this one is acute. This one is also acute. It's greater than 0 but less than 90. This one also is acute. It's greater than 0 but less than 90. Alright, let's look at the third one, top right. What angle is this? Obtuse. Why? Because it's greater, its magnitude is greater than 90 but less than 180 degrees. Let's look for any more obtuse. This one is also obtuse. Why? Because it's greater than 90. If it was 90, it would have been here. Greater than 90 but less than 180. This one is also what? Obtuse, because it's greater than 90 but less than 180. If I had this angle here like this, then that would have been reflex. Okay, let's continue. Good. Let me do two examples here. If I have this angle is labeled 30, here is labeled as 35 degrees, and I want you to find this angle here, angle X. What will be angle X and why? I want reasons. We must give reasons for your answer. Angle X will be 145. Why? Why would it be 145? It would be 145 because it's angle on a straight line. The sum of angles on a straight line is equal to 180 degrees. So 145 plus 35 will give us 180. So angle X here would be 145 degrees. Now, if I give you this angle here and I say that this angle here is 130 degrees and I want you to find X, what would my answer be? And I need a reason for this. What's the justification? The answer is X is equal to 130 degrees. Why? Because angle X is vertically opposite to this angle here. Alright, so it would be the same. If I had 80 here, okay, what would be this? What would be X in this case? X in this case will also be 80 because X is vertically opposite to this angle. Let's move on. A final example, and I like this example. Nothing to be scared about. If I label here 55 degrees and I label here P and Q, I label here R and S, and here is 55 degrees. Great. I would like to find PQRS. How do I do this? Well, if here I can see that this angle is vertically opposite to Q, so here would also be 55 degrees. And then I have to find P. And as I can see, P and this angle is on a straight line. So that would be 180 minus 55, which will give me 125. Okay, angles on a straight line. If I come to this side and I have to find the value for R and S, I know that S is going to be 55, vertically opposite angles. And R is going to be 125. Why? Angles on a straight line are equal to 180 degrees. Alright? And stay tuned. Thanks for watching. And look out for our part 2 video on planes and polygons.